Hello, welcome to today's video. This is actually my first video on YouTube, so I'm really excited about this one. I'm not so used to this, but I hope I get better with time. Now let's go on. My name is Ebube. I am a Python programmer. I specialize in Django, and I'm here to teach as I learn. So the more I learn, the more I teach. I'm currently a certified entry level Python programmer. So I think I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, so today we'll be talking about variables. It's all about variables today. What is a variable? How do you declare a variable? How do you assign values to variable? And we'll also discuss important conventions and best practices for variable names. So now let's start. So now what is a variable? A variable is like a box or a container. It's a container that holds data within a computer program. Now, if you're someone that is learning Python programming for the first time, I believe that these are keywords that there are certain things like variable data program that would be important to you. So if you don't fully understand what they are, you can just like make mental notes or write them down somewhere in your jotter and browse about them later. So these are the things that will be very important to you in your journey as a Python programmer. So now, what is a variable? A variable is a container that holds data within a program. Now, what is a data? A data is any information or type of information you pass into the computer that comes out as processed data. Now, they act as placeholders for storing values and can be accessed and manipulated throughout the program. Now, the values you pass into the pass and save as variables are values. They could be any kind of data, integer, numbers, letters, boolean value, true or false. It depends on you and what the program is about. Now, why do we store variables? Why do we store values as variables? So that in any course, at any point in the program, you want to refer to a value that you set previously. Having a variable name will make it easy for it to refer to that value and make use of it in your program. So variables have names that are used to refer to their stored values. So you identify the values you've stored by their variable name. So your name is James, for instance. The name that is used to record your name is the variable. Let me not confuse you further. So let's move on now. How do you declare and assign values to variables in Python? It's very simple. You start by choosing a meaningful name for your variable. So let's go. Now this let me show you an example of variable. In we have a variable A, hello world would be our variable. So I think I made an error. Hello world is our value. We want to store the value hello world in our program. We store it with the variable name A, and we use the symbol equals to store a variable, to assign a value to a variable. Now, first of all, you start by using a name that makes sense. Now, at this point, you may not necessarily have need for this, you know, because you may not fully understand how computer programs work yet. But let's say you want to writing a program that is displaying the name of a user to the user. You can have a variable user name. It makes sense to you and to everybody that is reading your code that okay, this variable contains the value for the user's name. So I want to put a name inside. My name is Ebube. So I want to put in my name. I want the variable username to contain my name. So username is Ebube. We can have another variable age. Um, can now stand for my name, for my age, sorry, 400. First of all, you have to choose something that is variable, that it makes sense. If you notice, I put Ebube in quotation marks and I didn't put 400 in quotation marks. As we go on, I will explain why I did that. So let's move on now. As I said before, we use the equal sign to assign the value, and the value assigned can be of any type: data type, numbers, letters, boolean, or even complex data structures that you will come across later. Now, by data structure of algorithms is different from the data I'm referring to here. As you get advanced, you learn all these things. Now, so let's talk about naming conventions and best practices for variable names. To write clean and maintainable code, it is important to follow naming conventions and best practices for your variable names. Okay. Now, here are guidelines to keep in mind. These are things you should keep in your mind when you want to create or choose a variable name. Number one, be as descriptive as possible with your name. Now, let the name you choose serve a purpose. Now, if you see in line one, I wrote the variable name username. Let me remove this so it makes more sense. Username. Anybody seeing this knows exactly what username is. But if I come and I say the variable name is, um, let's say XYZ, it makes no sense to the user or to another programmer looking at my code, because what exactly does XYZ mean? Are we talking about the alphabet? It will lead to a lot of speculation. But going straight to saying username makes it easier. One good quality that every programmer should have is being able to be descriptive, to be very descriptive in their code. It gives for clean writing. Now start your variables with a lowercase and use lowercase for subsequent words. Okay, so this is what they mean. You see, I didn't start with um X. I didn't start with I didn't okay, let's have this. I started with X in small letter, but let me go back to the previous one. Um User name. This is wrong. This is not in accordance with good coding practices. It is wrong for your code. It's not clean. Instead, you use what they call camel case. So user and you can say name. This works too. Sorry. Um, this works too. It's important to use um, a name that would serve a purpose. Now, there are certain names um that uh that are already reserved on Python. So let's say there are some words or there are some functions that you can't use as variable names. For instance, we have module names, function names that are already reserved. So you can have, for instance, a module name. You can see the color change. It's now blue. You can have um, a built-in function name as a variable name. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Home. Home. Let me just do that. It's it's an error. So invalid syntax, that shows you it's wrong. So that's an error code. So you don't do that. Just make it. It's just best to use for one word. You use a small letter, and if you have to join words, you use the underscore to join two words as a variable. So lastly, be consistent with your naming style. If you're going to have a pattern when naming in your program, your computer program, stick to it from the beginning to the end. Avoid using very long variable names. It confuses any other person reading your code. So by following these conventions and best practices, your code will be very readable and understandable, and you can easily maintain it because it's not only you that could be reading your code, you could be writing a code that a million developers will read. So it's best to remember this basic practice when it comes to variable. So now let's that's all for today. But to conclude, I will add that why it's important to know variables is that it's very important. It's a very fundamental, it's the basic level of programming, a basic function in programming allows you to store and manipulate data. So as I said, you need to have a variable name to be able to be flexible within your code. And a very solid understanding of variables will make you, it will keep you ready to handle bigger problems in coding. So yeah, happy coding. This is the first of mini series. The next video we'll be talking about something else, and I hope to see you there. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.